Hello everybody and welcome to another YouTube video. So in today's video, I'm going to be giving you my thoughts on cryptocurrency. Now the first thing I will say is that nothing in this video is financial advice. I'm not telling you to buy, sell, do anything with cryptocurrency. This is strictly my perspective, my thoughts, and there's a good chance that I may make some mistakes in this video. I may have some statements that are slightly inaccurate, and if that is the case, please do correct me in the comments. They are just honest mistakes and something that hopefully I can learn from. Anyways, with that said, in this video, I'm just going to talk to you about cryptocurrency and what I think of it. And I'm kind of going to come from three angles. The first angle being, is this practical? Does this make sense? Is this something that's actually going to be used for day-to-day transactions? Are you going to be buying your next car in Bitcoin? Then I'm going to give my perspective on it from an investment side. So does this make sense as an investment, something to add to your portfolio, something that's going to make you money? That's kind of the only thing I'm talking about in that section. And then finally, I'm going to talk about this in terms of a developer perspective. So if you're someone who's writing code, if you're someone who wants to get into the blockchain space, well, what does this mean for you? At least in my opinion, is this something good? Is this something bad? So on and so forth. So anyways, with that said, let's get into this video after a quick word from our sponsor. Before we get started, I need to thank the sponsor of this video, which is AlgoExpert. AlgoExpert is the best platform to use for preparing for your software engineering coding interviews and has the highest quality coding interview practice questions. With 155 practice questions, detailed solutions in 9 of the most popular programming languages, a feature-packed browser-based coding environment, extensive test suites, and conceptual overviews and code walkthroughs for each and every problem, AlgoExpert is the best resource to use to ace your coding interviews. AlgoExpert also has a data structures crash course, coding interview assessments, and a mock interviews feature. I can highly recommend AlgoExpert as a former customer myself and now an official instructor on the platform. Get started using AlgoExpert today by clicking the link in the description and using the code TechWithTim for a discount on the platform. So I'm actually going to start by just giving you guys some context here. I'm someone who's been super enthusiastic about cryptocurrency. I'm actually the first person I know that was really into cryptocurrency back kind of at the beginning stages of it. So I started getting into cryptocurrency in 2016. Unfortunately, I was only 16 at that point in time, and so I didn't have boatloads of money to go, buy a ton of Bitcoin and Ethereum at $1,000, $100 respectively, and now be a millionaire today. I think I made maybe a few $1,000s off of my previous investments when I was quite young, which is still great, no complaints, but just wanted to say that no, I'm not a Bitcoin millionaire or anything like that. I'm just someone who was really passionate about that technology, learned a lot about it. I was building a mining rig at like 16 years old. And anyways, yeah, I just have really liked cryptocurrency for a long time. And it's awesome to see it kind of coming into the forefront now, having media coverage, having people that aren't technologically savvy using, investing, and understanding how cryptocurrency works. And for me, one of the most interesting things about cryptocurrency is not even just like the investment potential and the worldwide potential and all of that. It's really just the technology behind it and kind of how that works, and the idea of decentralization, which I think is becoming more and more important as we go through the years. So anyways, that kind of leads me into the first thing I want to talk about with cryptocurrency, which is this practical? Does this make sense? Are you going to be buying your next house or car in cryptocurrency? Now, I am leaning towards no. That's probably not going to happen. I don't see, especially in North America, having cryptocurrency be the main, worldwide or national currency. I still think there is a place for currencies like US dollar, Canadian dollar, all of the other currencies around the world. I think that cryptocurrency will have its own place and certain things that you definitely will be able to purchase with it. But I think we are a long time away from seeing it being something that is actually going to be used as kind of a mainstream currency. Especially because now a lot of the times when people get paid in cryptocurrency, the first thing they do is sell it into fiat currency or the other way around, right? People will buy cryptocurrency with the fiat currency with the idea of maybe investing, trading it, putting it somewhere else, and then they will pull that money out in fiat currency. And anyways, one of the reasons I don't see this being kind of a global currency or something that's going to be used super mainstream is because first, the only people that are really using cryptocurrency, and this is a vast generalization, are people in the younger generation, at least in my experience. I mean, even my parents, for example, they don't really understand it. Anyone I talk to who's not kind of in this, tech generation, who's maybe a little bit older, they're a little bit skeptical of cryptocurrency. There's still a lot of people that really just don't understand it. And obviously the volatility is a kind of huge turnoff for people wanting to actually put their money into that and use that as their kind of day-to-day thing, right? And same thing with companies. I mean, yeah, I guess like big props to Elon Musk and all of the other companies that are actually accepting Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. They are kind of leading the way, but I think it's going to be a long time before we see all of the mainstream companies, especially not tech companies in the world, transitioning straight to cryptocurrency because of some of those reasons. And one of the main reasons for me, I think, is just a lot of people don't seem to really trust cryptocurrency. Again, they don't quite understand it. It is something that's pretty technologically difficult to understand on a deep level. And I think until we get to that point where the general public really understands how this technology works and doesn't just see it as a quick way to make money, we're going to be using fiat currency for a while. So anyways, that's kind of my first thoughts there. But moving on to the investment perspective, right? So cryptocurrency is obviously a very exciting space to be in, especially if you invested less than really 6 months ago, right? If you invested 6 months ago or before and you bought, one of the top 10 coins right now, chances are you've already doubled, tripled, maybe even 5 to 10x your investment, which is great. But at the same time, there's a ton of volatility. So personally, for me, I am invested in cryptocurrency, not very heavily. I see this investment as something super high risk, and all the money that I put in cryptocurrency, I just imagine it completely disappears. And my kind of strategy with cryptocurrency is buy a bunch and hold it until eventually one day I can retire with that cryptocurrency. That is really the way that I see it. It's either going to go to zero or it's going to be worth, millions of dollars. That's kind of what I think of when I think of my investment strategy with cryptocurrency. That said, without giving any financial advice, I think it's a really good thing to have in your portfolio, especially just a small amount, right? This isn't something where you want to go put all of your money into it. Personally, for me, I wouldn't put more than 10% of my net worth into cryptocurrency. This is something that is just one of those high risk investments. And hopefully, if it doesn't do very well, the rest of your maybe more conservative portfolio will make up for that. At least that's my investment strategy. Now, when it comes to day trading coins, swing trading coins, and doing all that kind of stuff, that's great. I know a bunch of people that make lots of money doing that. But again, it's just super risky. I remember back in 2016, 2017, there was people that lost quite literally their homes because of, cryptocurrency scams and flash crashes. And there's just a lot of things that can go wrong in cryptocurrency and that you definitely need to be aware of before you kind of dive into the deep end and put everything into that currency. So that's kind of my perspective on that. Personally, I actually much prefer investing in cryptocurrency in terms of the technology behind it. So, for example, mining rigs. I know a lot of people don't like miners right now because of GPU inflation and all of that. But personally, I do have a GPU mining rig. For me, that makes a lot more sense as a way to kind of directly invest in cryptocurrency because at least my money or my investment is kind of backed by a physical asset that at some point in time I could sell. And, I'm not just going to lose everything if the value of the currency immediately goes to zero. So that's kind of my perspective on the investment side of it. Definitely something to be involved in, definitely something I would be exposed to, but not to the point where you're risking, everything. So the last angle I'm going to come from is kind of the developer angle. So I'll be honest, I really don't know much about developing on the blockchain. What I do know though is that there's a ton of opportunities and a ton of potential to do so. And actually, personally, I really want to get involved and kind of look into what it's like to actually make a cryptocurrency or make a smart contract or an NFT or add on to a blockchain or whatever it may be. And there'll probably be a tutorial series coming in the future where I do something like that. So make sure you guys are subscribed, stay tuned for that. But I just think that if you're a developer, this is something that's really, really exciting. Regardless if you believe in cryptocurrency or not, it just seems like there's a ton of really cool stuff that you can do with this technology and just with the general idea of decentralization. And so anyways, that's kind of my perspective as a developer. I'm excited. I want to see where this goes. I want to try stuff out on this kind of new blockchain stack cryptocurrency area and kind of see what it is, see what I can do, and obviously what I can help you guys do if I decide to do a tutorial series. And so the last thing I'll touch on here quickly is just this idea of decentralization. So to me, decentralization is the reason cryptocurrency is doing so well right now. I feel like the pandemic has actually massively kind of accelerated the growth of cryptocurrency beyond what it would be at naturally. And I think the reason for that, at least in my perspective, is that as the pandemic has happened, a lot of people, rightfully or not rightfully so, I'm not here to argue that, have growing distrust in their government, in central organizations, in banks, in media, and all of these other areas around the world. And people feel safer using something that's not controlled by a very small group of people or a very small subset of organizations or whatever it may be. And I know this is probably not as big of a deal for people that live in North America or live maybe in Central Europe or in places that just are kind of more fortunate to have a government in which they can trust and have a society in which they have a good amount of trust in that, right? They don't think they're going to get robbed. They don't think that the currency is going to be hyperinflated, all of these horrible things that happen all around the world. But when I think of cryptocurrency, I think of what it can do for kind of developing countries, for people that aren't as fortunate as me, people that don't have access to a bank, people that can't just send money across the world to relatives, people that really cannot trust a government organization above them. That's where I see cryptocurrency really being a huge asset, is to people that actually need to use this, that genuinely cannot use the central authorities, or cannot use the central banking institutions, or don't feel comfortable using them in their country or wherever it is that they live. So anyways, I don't want to get into that too much. I really have very little knowledge on that. But when I think of cryptocurrency, that's really the angle I take of it. And that's why I see it continuing to succeed and continuing to grow, is because I think a lot of people, as they continue to distrust all these organizations more and more, are going to be leaning more towards technologies and products and things in general that are decentralized and that offer them some level of security, where they feel like this is safe. No government agency is going to be able to come in here and rob all of my money. There's not going to be hyperinflation of the currency. There's not going to be all of these horrible things, crazy transaction fees to send this money or exchange it to a different currency, for example. So anyways, that's where I'm going to leave this video off. Let me know if you guys agree with me, if you disagree with me, what you thought of my thoughts. I might make a follow-up video and go into more depth on some more of these topics. But if you guys want to hear more about cryptocurrency on this channel, please do let me know. If you're unaware, about 4 years ago, this entire channel literally was just cryptocurrency. I still have some videos talking about, how to mine Ethereum, how to get better hash rates on graphics cards, all of that kind of stuff. And so I love this stuff. I like talking about it. That's why I made this video. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a like. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in another YouTube video.